escape.
Ad Astra Ab. Thank you for
What's your name, buddy? Are you here to buy some medicine? Where are your mom and dad?
Are you lost?
No, I'm not. My name's Ayu, and I'm here because...
Hey there, Chi-Chi. Hi, Gui. What's going on?
Hi, Traveler and Paimon.
You've actually come at the perfect time. This little boy seems to have gotten himself lost. I think he must be new to the city, probably wandered away from his parents and...
No, listen to me. I'm not the one who's lost. It's my dad.
Your dad? How does a fully grown man manage to get lost in Liyue Harbor?
Well, my dad's always been kind of forgetful. In the past, he was just a little slow to react sometimes. But I'm worried that it's getting more serious.
So, what about your mom?
She went out a few days ago to gather some herbs for my dad, but she still hasn't come back. Meanwhile, my dad's been getting worse and worse. I remembered that the owner of Boo Boo Pharmacy always runs a clinic in Chingsa Village during the Lantern Ride, so I thought, why don't I take Dad to Liyue Harbor to see him there? When we got to the city gate, I took a moment to ask the Millith guards for directions to the pharmacy. And then, when I turned back around, my dad was gone. I asked the Millith guys to go find him, but he said they won't be able to send that many people. So then I figured, maybe I can ask some other people in the city to help.
You came to the right place. We're pros at finding people. Isn't that right, Traveler?
Changshen can help. She has a good sense of smell, like a dog.
Hey, who's talking about me behind my back?
Chengsheng, Chi-Chi meant that as a compliment. There's no need to be upset. Hello, child. You mentioned that you were looking for the owner of Boo Boo Pharmacy. How might we be of service?
You have a talking snake? Oh, are you Uncle Baizhu?
Uncle Baizhu?
Chengsheng, now's not the time. My dear boy, could you tell me more about your father's condition, as much as you can recall?
Yes, Dr. Baizhu.
I see. And your family lives near Chingsa Village, you say? I visit patients there frequently, but I don't recall ever seeing you or your parents.
Uh-huh. My mom doesn't like meeting other people, especially during Lantern Ride. She always tells me to just stay at home and keep my dad company.
Is that so? Ayu, by any chance, is your mother's name Jiangli?
Whoa, yeah, it is! Do you know my mom, Dr. Baizhu?
I certainly do. Gui, Chi-Chi, are there any pressing matters in the pharmacy at the moment? Ayu's parents are old acquaintances of mine, so I would very much like to assist with the search. Would the two of you have time to join me?
Don't forget us two. We already told Ayu that we'd help.
Oh, really? Well, that's wonderful. We are most grateful for your support.
Chi-Chi and I need to clear up the shop front first, but once that's taken care of, we'll be right out to help you with the search.
Family is very important.
Thank you. Then I'll leave you to handle the pharmacy. Traveler, Paimon, why don't you come with me and Ayu? Let's start by talking to the Millilith guards at the city gates, see if they have an update.
They searched to the north, but couldn't find anyone who matched the description.
Well, that complicates things. The city folks say there's no sign of him either. We need to start looking further afield. But where are we gonna get the people?
Excuse me, sirs. Have you found out anything about my dad yet?
Ah, hey there, buddy. Dr. Baizhu. What brings you out this way?
The boy asked for our help, so we're here to join the search. Any new developments to update us on?
Oh, thank goodness. We were just discussing how we're running out of manpower. As for updates, I'm sorry to say that we've searched the surrounding area thoroughly, but didn't find anything.
The guards at the crossing up ahead said they hadn't seen anyone either, so we don't believe he was heading towards the Guili Plains. But it is possible that he was bound for Luhua Pool.
Luhua Pool? The terrain there can be tricky to navigate. Let's hope he hasn't run into any trouble.
You will? Oh, great. We can't thank you enough.
Sorry we weren't able to find your dad, buddy.
That's okay. Thank you. Dad! Dad, can you hear me?
There's somebody. Oh no! It's. Hey, you! Stop! Don't go any further!
Watch where you're going! Dear customer, Wangsheng Funeral Parlor does appreciate your patronage, but you needn't hasten the inevitable. Are you all right? Huh?
Dad!
Hey, Hu Tao!
My, who do we have here? My worst nightmare.
I see she still hasn't warmed to you.
Thank you, Director Hu, for saving this man.
Dad, are you okay? Your name is Jia Liang, and you live just west of Qingse Village. You were supposed to come to Liyue Harbor to see the doctor. Remember? Does that jog your memory?
Oh, my name is John.
Uh-oh. He seems in really bad shape. We need to get him back to Boo Boo. Sorry, Hu Tao. Gotta dash.
Hold on a second. You're not seriously thinking of taking him.
Huh? Why not?
Come on, Baizhu. Don't tell me you haven't. Why do I get the sense that you spotted them right away?
Use what? What are you talking about?
There are traces of god remains in Jialiang's system.
Oh, yes, but more importantly, they're on the verge of an outburst.
I'm sorry.
God.
There's no need to. It is the sworn duty of all who practice medicine to cure illnesses and save lives. What besides? It was my late master's dying wish to be able to save this patient in particular.
Now you're bringing my great uncle into this?
Merely to cure this man, nothing more. But
Oh, really? I thought I was persona non grata at Boo Boo Pharmacy. You're being unusually... Okay, deal. We're not gonna solve anything by keeping Jialiang. I'm happy to do it your way, but only for my great uncle's sake and the travelers, of course.
You must be pleased you brought the traveler along. Otherwise...
well, time is of the essence. Let's go. Blockages within the cardiovascular system, reduced blood flow and energy circulation? I see. I suppose this must have caused the cognitive abnormalities.
Dr. Baizhu, how bad is it? Can you cure him?
Don't you worry. Baizhu's a really great doctor. He's sure to find a way. Isn't that right, Baizhu?
Ayu, do you know when your father first started displaying these symptoms?
I'm not sure. He's been like this for as long as I can remember. But it wasn't as bad as this.
So it's been a long time indeed. No, I have a treatment plan in mind. We can start tonight. Come and see me again tomorrow morning. I promise that...
Thank you, Dr. Baizhu.
If you still have any misgivings, Director Who, please...
However, it would be best if you step outside this room. A doctor must be able to focus when treating a patient. Any distractions heighten the risk of complications.
Yes, of course, absolutely. I'll just go and look at the flowers or something. But I will be back in an instant at the first sign that something's amiss.
See you tomorrow, Baizhu and Changcheng.
Bye for now, everyone.
Are you ready, Baizhu?
Ready as I'll ever be. I'm used to it by now. Come on, let's get...
All's well that ends well, huh? You know, Paimon's kind of curious after hearing Baizhu mention those people from his past. What do you think they were like? Yeah, you must be curious too, right? Let's go see what we can find out while Baizhu's busy treating Ayu's dad.
While I'm idling time on admiring the scenery, the spectacled snake-bedecked docs doing surgery. Hello, you busy bees, and what do you have to discuss with the funeral director today? Actually, don't tell me. Let me guess. From the looks on your faces, you've got some questions for me.
Guilty as charged. So, we were just a little curious about Baizhu's master. What was he like? Oh, and also, how come you and Baizhu could tell so quickly that Jialiang had god remains in his system?
Huh? I thought I told you once before. Wangsheng Funeral Parlor was first founded to fight back against the vengeful wrath of gods defeated in war. Well, it is a dusty old tale by this point. Long story short, in the ancient world, dead gods were acting up, so our ancestors started purifying the air and burning the bodies of the deceased to guard the border between life and death. These days, we don't deal with the wrath of the gods anymore, but all the relevant know-how is still passed down to each generation, so we can identify gods' remains when we see them.
Okay, Paimon gets it now. Wait, so how did Baizhu learn to spot them?
Almost certainly from his master, who was also my great-uncle. Baizhu's master was my grandpa's younger brother, a former deputy director of Wangsheng Funeral Parlor.
Wow, fancy that! Huh. So, if he was from Wangsheng Funeral Parlor, how did he end up as Baiju's master?
According to my grandpa, he and my great-uncle once went traveling together when they were young. They ended up at Chenyu Vale, where they met a pharmacist. That pharmacist must have cast some sort of spell on my great-uncle, because after that encounter, he suddenly announced he wanted to leave the family business and go practice medicine instead. My grandpa had a huge argument with him, but he couldn't convince him to stay. So my grandpa inherited the funeral parlor, while my great-uncle stayed in Chenyu Vale to practice medicine. They never spoke to each other again.
Funeral director to doctor is a pretty big career change. Kinda hard to imagine. But why did it drive a wedge between them for the rest of their lives? That seems a bit extreme.
If he had just become a regular doctor, there would have been no issue. After all, the Wangsheng Funeral Parlor wasn't unlike a regular doctor's clinic in the early days. But according to my grandpa, the pharmacist they met had a very ominous aura about him. And on top of that, the kind of medicine practiced in the Chenyu Vale tradition goes against the natural order of things.
In what way?
Don't know. My grandpa didn't know the specifics. And you've seen how wary Baizhu is around me. He'd never tell me anything. But even that says to me that he definitely has something to hide. One thing I do know about Baizhu is that he's obsessed with the idea of immortality. But whether that has anything to do with what he's hiding is hard to say. Anyway, so I will be sticking around here for now to keep a close eye on the situation. Maybe tomorrow I'll finally figure out what he's up to.
After all that, it seems like we have more questions than answers. Never mind. We'll just have to ask Baizhu himself about all of this tomorrow. It's a new...
Dad!
Oh, are you?
Dad, you were
Yes, I remember now. Oh, are you? I'm so sorry. You must have been worried sick. Has your mom shown up yet? She's been gone for a while, hasn't she?
Don't worry, Dad. I got the Adventurers Guild to help us look for her. And Dr. Baizhu's gonna help too. Right now, all you need to do is concentrate on getting better.
Great. That's wonderful. I can't thank you enough, Dr. Baizhu.
My pleasure, really. It's the least I can do to honor my late master's dying wish. If anything, I should be apologizing to you for not making the time to visit in all these years.
Not at all, Dr. Baizhu. It's only...
You're still in the early stages of recovery, so you'll need to take it easy for a while. Take it slowly and try not to overexert yourself.
I suggest you stay at
Director Hu, do you have any further reservations about Jia Liang's condition?
It seems like the evil presence is gone after all. You really did manage to suppress it, huh? But how did you accomplish this in a...
That would be a trade secret, I'm afraid. If that... Though I regret to say that Boo Boo Pharmacy cannot offer to reimburse Wang Sheng Funeral Parlor for any revenue lost in the meantime.
Oh, come on, Baizhu. I'm not that unreasonable.
I've been stuck indoors for...
Yes, of course. Everyone, please excuse Chiangsheng and myself for a moment.
Suffering now, are we? Did you seriously expect to cover it up just by putting on a brave face and ignoring it? If it weren't for my quick thinking, they'd have all seen the sorry state you're in by now. But in any case, why must you keep this a secret from everybody? You should at least share your secret.
Who's there?
Ah!
Why did you follow us here? Oh, it's...
What did I just say about putting on a brave face? Traveler, Paimon, the truth is, Baizhu did not cure Jialiang's illness. Instead, he transferred some of his own life force to his patient to temporarily subdue the poison in his system. Baizhu,
My predecessors in medicine forged a contract with Changsheng. Every successor to this contract is able to use Changsheng's secret art to treat patients. I believe the irregularities with Jialiang's heart meridian were likely caused by a poison concocted using god remains as a key ingredient. The poison has not been purged from Jialiang's system. Rather, I infused him with some of my own life force, using Changsheng as the delivery medium. This will suppress the poison.
Changsheng? You can do... Hey, I'll have you know that I commanded the respect of even the Adepti back in Chenyu Vale. If anything, I was treating patients with Baiju's master's master long before he ever set eyes on his first medical text. Whoa. Guess you shouldn't...
Please, that's enough.
Wait a sec. Huto was saying that the branch of medicine you studied uses some pretty dubious methods. So...
Hardly. Xiangsheng helps to keep my qi in balance, so there is no great harm done.
Still, Baiju's life force is not unlimited. We must find a way to neutralize the poison in Jialiang's body, and soon. Traveler, Paimon, would you lend this dummy a hand? He needs someone checking up on him, or he'll exhaust himself trying to accomplish everything on his own. Baizhu, don't you think you should seize this opportunity? You cannot expect to hide this from everyone for your entire life. Time will see that all secrets surface eventually.
Entire life. Thank you, Traveler.
Paimon doesn't think we've seen this side of you. But there's no need to thank us. You've helped us out before.
The poison in Jialiang's system must have accumulated over a prolonged period. I think I should pay a visit to their family home and look for clues as to how he might have been exposed to it. Yes, I asked Ayu this morning before you arrived. He told me that his family lives in a secluded spot to the west of Qingsa village. Let's head there together once I've asked Gui and Qiqi to look after the pharmacy. As well as investigating Jialiang's exposure to the poison, we should also keep an eye out for Ayu's missing mother, my fellow disciple Jiang Li.
Whoa! There's a house all the way out here?
Nor have I. And I've hosted clinics at Qingsa village many times in the past. If you ask me, Jiang Li was...
Oh, that reminds Paimon. We meant to ask earlier, but it slipped our minds in the rush to get here. Could you tell us more about Jiang Li? You said
She was indeed. We studied medicine together under the same master near Chenyu Vale. She is several years older than I and also began her travels far earlier than me. As a result...
Supposedly, she met an herb gatherer sometime during her travels and decided to settle down with him. That must have been Jialiang. Wait, Changxiang, are you saying...
Jiang Li did occasionally come back to Chenyu Vale to see our master, but for whatever reason, she hardly ever talked about her family. The last time she visited us, she and Master had some sort of quarrel. We never heard from her after that. It almost seemed...
Quarrel? I don't know. I did not
Nor did Master ever explain it to me. All he would say is that should I ever encounter Jiang Li or her family in the future, I should do everything in my power to help them.
Oh, so that...
No. Even if my master had never said anything, it would still be my duty as a doctor to help him. My decision would have remained the same.
Paimon never knew you were so selfless, Baizhu.
So a few words from me is enough to dispel...
What the... Okay, that was the most suspicious sounding thing you've ever said.
Let's leave the idle chatter there for now. Jiang Li has lived in this house for many years. There must be something here that can shed a little light on this whole situation. Let's split up. But if anyone finds anything, we'll examine it together.
Paimon, come quick! What is this?
Chung Shung and I found a hidden compartment. This is what was hidden inside.
You sense it too? You're right. This is a poison concocted using god remains. Is it? Breathing? Paimon's not seeing things, is she?
No, your eyes do not deceive you. I do believe the poison in this bottle is alive. Some toxins act a lot like living organisms. I read about this once in the Origins and Symptoms of Diseases. This ancient class of poisons consists of mother and minor loads, capable of sustaining a connection over vast distances. If it's a concoction of this kind we're dealing with, then both the poison in Jia Liang's system and this one here are likely minor loads.
Offshoots? So...
Correct. Whoever is administering the poison can manipulate the source to indirectly control the poisoned individual's behavior and even cognition. Similarly, the poisoned individual will hear, to a varying extent, the call of the source.
The call of the... Wait. So back when...
Only one thing could have been drawing him there. The source of the god remains used as the poison's key ingredient. The mother lode.
This is getting crazier and crazier. What kind of person would do all this just to poison Jia Liang? Hey, why is everyone... Since this poison was carefully hidden away... You mean... Jia? Think a little harder, Paimon. Huh? So you're saying... it was Jiang Li? Wait, but... that doesn't make any sense either! Why would she poison her own husband?
I agree. It makes little sense. Jiang Li does not strike me as the kind of person who would do such a thing.
Look at the facts, though. How many people in the entirety of Liyue have the ability to concoct a poison from god remains?
It's too early to draw any conclusions. We should question Jia Liang about it once he has made more progress in his recovery. Yes. According to the Origins and Symptoms of Diseases, the minor loads will disappear if the mother lode is purged. So if we can find and destroy the source of these god remains, the poison will leave Jia Liang's system without the need for any further treatment. Do you know anything about god remains in Qingsa village?
Even the history books have no record of this. The only ones who'll know anything are those old fogies who have been hanging around here since the beginning. Didn't you used to be on good terms with the Adepti, though? You sure they didn't tell you anything about this? Well,
Changsheng's memories and powers are not what they were in her These days, she has to enter a contract with a mortal and share their life force just to sustain her own life. I fear that...
Whoa, what? Enter a contract? Share life force? Sounds like some pretty spooky sorcery if you ask Paimon. Hey, plenty of people would jump at the chance. With my assistance in rebalancing your chi, not only can you extend your lifespan, but you will also be stronger, healthier. Stronger and healthier? Baizhu, maybe when you retire, you can...
Unfortunately, Changsheng's contract has strict requirements regarding the host's temperament. None of her hosts have ever been exempted from these rules.
Temperament? Paimon's mad! This is exactly why you're not...
All right, everybody, calm down. Back to the matter at hand. Is there any way at all for us to seek counsel from the Adepti about this?
With how antisocial they are? If it were up to them, they'd go their whole lives without showing their faces to the common folk. What?
Seems you're as well connected.
Oh, if you're talking about who Paimon thinks you're talking about, you better do the honors.
You called?
time.
Are all Adepti in the habit of...
Well, this is
Huh? It's you.
Baizhu of Boo Boo Pharmacy. The lantern rite when we met briefly. I was unaware of...
Huh? You two...
Our paths have crossed once before. I sense the presence of evil spirits. Is this why you called me? Too often, fervent desires drive mortals to abandon all regard for their own safety. It is lamentable. I now know what you seek. It is true that a god's remains are buried beneath the foundations of Qingce village. A vile monster known as the Che once wrought havoc over this land, before it was subdued by Rex Lapis. The land was finally cleansed of poison when Rex Lapis used statues in his likeness to seal the serpent's remains. Qingce village was founded some time after that. The seal is still mostly intact. If the Che is the source, then it must be some of its blood leaking from deep underground. However, its aura is faint and barely detectable. You will need to investigate further to identify the location of the leak. I do not like to intervene against mortals unless absolutely necessary, but when demonic forces are involved, things can spiral out of control. If that happens, be sure to call my name again. Nothing. I do not wish to sway decisions that are mortals to make, but immortality may not be the blessing that you imagine it to be.
I shall treasure your words of instruction, Master Adeptus.
Farewell.
What a strange Adeptus. Rather different.
That's Xiao for ya! And thanks to him...
If the god remains are leaking from underground, Jiangli must be paying a visit to a subterranean cave on her herb
Master, there's a...
Gui? Did you run all the way from Boo Boo Pharmacy?
What happened? Don't panic.
It's Jiaoliang. He was fine one minute and then...
Already? Based on past experience.
It seems that Everyone, back to Boo...
Dad, what's...
Don't be scared. Dr. Baizhu will be...
How is he doing?
Dr. Baizhu, you're back! My dad was doing fine earlier.
When Gui left, he will...
Gui, please take Jiaoliang to the back room and...
Yes, of course.
Don't worry, Ayu.
Baizhu's not gonna use Chang Sheng's secret art again, is he?
Oh, please don't worry. Dr. Baizhu will find a way.
But...
Is there really no other way to save Jiaoliang?
How are you feeling, Dad? Are you still hurting anywhere?
Much better, Ayu. I'm feeling much... Wait.
Master said he needed to take a quick rest and asked me to bring you out of the treatment room. He hasn't emerged yet, so he must still be resting.
Oh, really? Well, he must be tired from treating me for 2 nights in a row. I don't know how I can begin to repay him for saving my life.
No, the Adventurers Guild hasn't.
I'll come with...
Don't forget what Master said. You're still not out of the woods yet, Jialiang.
Though, on the bright side, this means I can...
Traveler, Baizhu hasn't shown his face ever since he went in to treat Jialiang again. Do you think he... Huh? Hey!
Huh?
You're finally awake?
There was no time. I had no other choice. In any case, it was not completely without benefit. Jiang Li's design is quite brilliant. She makes numerous innovations that I can learn from.
So, how much longer do you think They've been outside waiting for you the whole time while you... Surely he hasn't. There's no way he could have just... Who's talking behind our backs again? Ah! Baizhu! Chuck!
Of course. There's no need to be concerned. I merely had to transfer a rather large amount of life force on this occasion. But, with Changsheng's help, I will recover in time.
Jialiang seemed fine yesterday. Why did...
I made an error in my initial diagnosis. Jialiang is in fact suffering from more than one ailment, and as a result, his life force depleted at a greater rate than I had.
What? You mean...
Yes. But more pertinently, the poison in Jialiang's system is there precisely because it is being used to manage his underlying medical condition. Jialiang has a rare congenital heart condition, and ongoing treatment is essential to maintaining healthy functioning of his heart meridian. Though it was created from god remains, this formula is not a poison in Jialiang's case.
Had he not taken it all these years, he likely would have died a long time ago.
Still, using poison to treat a disease is hardly a viable long-term solution. As time passed, and the poison accumulated in his system, it began to impact his cognition. Moreover, the longer he relied upon this medicine, the more resistant his body became to it. Jiang Li had to concoct ever greater quantities to ensure its continued efficacy, or he could have still perished at any moment.
That explains why Ayu said his dad has been giving work.
God remains are extremely dangerous to be around. Because humans have no natural defense, I fear that the situation is just as that Adeptus described. In an effort to save Jialiang's life, Jiang Li has abandoned all regard for her own safety.
I never suspected that even Jiang Li would turn to the same path as so many others over the years. Perhaps this is the inevitable course of fate. To sacrifice one's own life to save others. To go beyond human means in order to do the impossible, whatever the cost may be.
Well, I think that it's too early to say with any certainty what fate has in mind. In any case, I have stabilized Jialiang's condition. Her regular exposure to god remains over such a long, and given that she's already been missing for several days, I am fearing the worst.
It's me, Traveler, Dr. Baizhu.
It's Jialiang!
Dr. Baizhu, you've already done so much for my family. I can no longer... After all, if it wasn't for me, she wouldn't have had to put herself in harm's way in the first place. I know I won't... I'm sure I'll be able to remember. I know there's a...
Be careful. If you get too agitated, your blood pressure and...
No! Before I forget everything...
This trip will be extremely dangerous, and there is a very real possibility that you will not return from it. Are you sure you're prepared for that?
I never expected to live this long in the first place. There's only one thing I fear now, and that's that I'll forget her again before we manage to find her.
Very well. Then follow me.
Dr. Baizhu, are you heading out again?
Yes. This could be a long one. Please add an extra measure of mistgrass pollen and 1 dose each of the ingredients from the 3rd and 5th compartments of my medicine cabinet. Hop to it now. And remember to be careful with the cauldron this time. You don't want to burn yourself again.
Okay.
It's just like the day I went missing. It's as if something inside me is trying to...
The Mother Lode's influence is growing stronger. But is it because we're getting closer to the source? Or because the leakage of Che blood is growing more severe? Jialiang, can you sense which direction the source is in?
I think it's... this way. Yes, I'm sure of it. I feel a dull ache in my heart. This must be the way. This place feels familiar. I think I've been here before.
There is an inauspicious...
I think I remember this place.
Jialiang, are you okay?
No, I have to...
This place gives Paimon the creeps. Who knows what we're gonna... The digging marks here appear amateur. A thieves' tunnel? Paimon...
Judging by the tools they left behind, but why did they abandon this place without...
I remember now. But she said that the method would cause me to,
Easy, Jialiang.
There is no escape!
Be still. Mind the side effects.
Illusion shattered!
Cascade.
Whoa, there's a sensor here. Those treasure hoarders sure made themselves at home.
I believe this censer was used to burn a monster repellent.
A monster repelling incense?
The incense was burned several days ago. If I had to guess, the monsters we fought just now were enticed here by some entity. No doubt an encounter with the very same entity was what prompted the treasure hoarders to flee after them. Jiang Li was the next person to discover this place and what lies inside. But to...
That's right. This censer. This is where I told Jiang Li to give me the...
Jiang!
I'm fine. Let's keep going. I can feel it. She... I can feel it. We're getting close. We're almost there. It's right up ahead. The place where we made a pact together to...
Aha! We can keep going now!
From the looks of it, the energy released by this mechanism can not only clear barriers, but also be conducted by corresponding mechanisms. Perhaps it's something we can make use of.
You will see.
Stabilize!
There is no escape!
Cascade!
Jiang Li!
Look out! There's a monster next to her!
The god remains must have lured them here. Watch my back.
Solidify! Order guide you!
Springboard!
There is no escape.
Be still.
Dr. Baizhu, how serious is it?
I can still feel a pulse, but her condition is quite grim. The god remains here are encroaching on her cognition. Much if we don't eliminate it soon, then even if we save...
Then what are we waiting for? Let's destroy the remains. It's not as simple as that. The poison within Jialiang's body is if the source is purged, the poison... and the poison within Jialiang... Oh no.
Indeed. If the god remains here are purged, then your life will come to an end.
I wondered when this day might come.
Wait. But Baizhu, you're
You could continue to take the poison, which would buy you...
It appears to me that she was striving to concoct your medicine for you. Right up until the moment when she...
Dr. Baizhu, give it to me straight.
The god remains have reached her internal organs. Under ordinary circumstances, I would give her less than 3 days. But if I were to treat her using a secret art...
But Dr. Baizhu, I'm all too aware if I continue to sustain my own life using this wretched substance, not only would Jiangli have to keep risking her life to make my medicine for me, I know for a fact that I should have died over a decade ago. The fact that I've been around to see Ayu grow, if my choice can bring Jiangli back...
Jialiang...
After cheating death for so long, it seems I've... Traveler, Dr. Baizhu, could I have another minute with my wife?
Of course.
Thank you, everyone. And I'm sorry that I won't be able to repay your kindness in this life.
Jialiang... Baizhu...
I am sure that over the years, Jiangli will have tried all the conventional methods known to humankind. As for less conventional methods...
Mortals are fated to grow old and pass on when their natural lifespan runs out. If it were so easy... What a crazy situation! Jiangli risked it all to save Jialiang's life, and now Jialiang has to sacrifice himself to save Jiangli! What's the point of it all?
I've seen many final farewells in my time, but I can never get used to it.
In the human realm, all things must come to an end. Is it not a fitting end to die for a worthy cause? At least, that's what generations of masters before you have always believed.
The path they chose was indeed a heroic one. But when I think of those who would willingly, I cannot help but think that theirs are the lives least deserving of death.
When all this began, we agreed that once Ayu was old enough to help you... If you could only see him now. He took me all the way to Liyue Harbor to see the doctor. And he even got the Adventurer's Guild to search for you. So, I know that you'll both be okay without me. I've said my goodbyes. My time has come. Do what you must.
As you wish.
It will eat away at both your cognition and your memories. In the end, you'll become little more than a shadow of your true self.
I'll take it. At the very least, it will allow me to stay with you and watch Ayu grow up.
Mom, something's really wrong with Dad. Don't fret, Ayu. I will gather some medicinal herbs right away. I promise you, nothing will happen to our family.
Why would these memories come to mind now? The longer we live, the tighter we cling. Oh, how I would love to hear.
Jialiang! 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 Jialiang!
Dad, are you awake?
Didn't I... Huh? What are these?
How does it feel to come back to life?
Do you feel strange or different in any way?
If Dr. Baizhu, I...
Die? You did indeed.
I'm a zombie?
That's right. Before we set off, I asked Chi-Chi to prepare an elixir of immortality. Of course, this is but a crude imitation of an Adeptus art. Whether it will keep you alive for a few days, a few months, or a few years, but however long you have left, I believe it should be more than sufficient time for you to say your final goodbyes before departing the world in peace. I hope that Director...
An elixir of immortality? How'd you cook that up? Ugh. Leave it to you to work on something like that, but...
It's a work in progress that hardly lives up to its name, and it would have had no effect were it not for... In the end, I am merely a doctor. I understand very little of the great principles governing life and death, and the perpetual cycle of yin. All I know is that if I'm presented with a life that deserves to be... And even this would have counted for nothing without Director Hu's assistance. After all, did you not tell Jia Liang to show us the way before we set off for Qingsa?
Oops, and...
Without Director Hu nudging things in the right direction, we may not have found Jiang Li in time.
No wonder he didn't mention the elixir back then. I thought he was being frank and...
Director Hu told me to keep her
Never underestimate a
All I wanted was to help Jia Liang find his missing wife and leave it to Boo Boo Pharmacy to snatch the perfect opportunity right out of my hands at the last hurdle. Never mind. I'll just have to put it down in the books as a deferred consideration. One Chi-Chi was enough of a conundrum. The last thing I need's another one. If I'd known this was coming, I'd have whisked him off to the Wangsheng.
You stay away from my dad! When I grow up...
Oh, is that right? Well, you wouldn't be the first person who's tried to put Wangsheng Funeral Parlor out of business. If you're... Traveler, Paimon, I'll catch you all another time.
Is she finally gone? All's well that ends well. If you ask Paimon, we should probably do something to celebrate this hard-earned family reunion. At times...
It feels like it was a whole lifetime ago when I last talked with Zhongli and Ayu around the dinner table.
Yay! Paimon! Alright, first things first.
Wait up! I'll come too!
Baizhu, thank you so much for everything you've done for us.
Don't mention it, Jiangli. I was just doing my duty.
Just your duty, huh? Baizhu, Changshang, would you mind if we took this conversation outside?
Now that you are part zombie, there are some rules that you... First, don't forget to stretch your body regularly. Second, don't forget to...
Time flies. It's been so long since we bade each other farewell in Chenyu Vale. Changshang, you're the same as ever. You haven't changed one bit.
You, on the other hand, have changed a lot.
You're right. My younger self would have never imagined that things would one day turn out this way. Or that you'd turn out this way, Baizhu. I've taken a look at your elixir of immortality. It's not altogether dissimilar from the poison I concocted in terms of the way it functions.
I have to say, Jiangli, it was a stroke of genius to use poison to maintain life. I hope you're not too upset at me for copying your methods.
No, not at all. With your intellect, even if you'd never seen my poison, I believe you would have eventually arrived at the same approach. But I'm still impressed by how quickly you managed to gain such a thorough understanding of it. Jialiang's still only been in your care for a few days. Not just that, you even managed to improve upon the original formula. That cannot be explained by intellect alone. Baizhu, be honest with me. Did you try out some of the poison on yourself?
Huh. Told you the truth would surface sooner or later.
Life force isn't the only thing that Changshang's contract lets you transfer between bodies, is it?
Nothing gets past you, Jiangli. You are correct. Besides life force, Changsheng's secret art also allows for the transfer of toxins and diseases. When I treated Jia Liang for the second time, I transferred some of the poison from his body into my own. Not only did this allow me to alleviate the burden on him, but it also gave me an opportunity to study its properties. There is no need to worry about any long-term consequences to my health, however. Now that the source has been destroyed, any remaining poison in me will have already dissipated.
But you took such a huge risk. If we hadn't destroyed the god's remains back there, then even you might have... What am I saying? I'm in no position to criticize you for this. The reason I left our master and went into hiding all those years ago was that he was getting old. And I didn't want him using up any more of his own life force to treat my husband. But in the end, how were my methods any different? I risked one life to save another. And then you tried the poison on yourself too. It looks like both of us have ended up going the same way as our master before us. Are all disciples of Chenyu Vale destined to turn out this way? To live a short life, having given away our own for the sake of others? To fight relentlessly against the natural course of life and death, whatever the cost? Maybe our fate is sealed the moment we decide to study medicine.
We are doctors, Jiangli. We ought never say that anyone's fate is sealed.
Baizhu, I can tell that, over the years, you've used the contract with Changshang to transfer many diseases and toxins to yourself. There are so many that some of them I don't even recognize. Can you still stop before it's too late?
I think you know the answer, Jiangli. Every one of us from Chenyu Vale believes in the same thing.
Hey, food's ready!
Mom, come and join us. The Traveler taught me a load of new recipes and said even Dad'll be able to taste them. Come.
Yes, darling. Mom will be there in just a second. Hey, Baizhu, I know I won't be able to convince you, but please don't forget that if one day you're not around anymore, Chi-Chi, Gui, and all the friends who have...
There's no need to worry, Jiangli.
Baizhu, What did Jiang Li mean by...
Every single mortal I've ever contracted with, including Baizhu and Jiang Li's master, has passed away at a young age.
Wait, that doesn't make any sense. You said that the contract with you...
It is a very long story.
Long ago, when plagues ravaged the land, one doctor made a pledge to rid the world of pain and suffering. But even the most ingenious mortal medicine could not stay the tide of disease. And after working tirelessly for many years, even his dearest loved ones fell sick and bade their final farewell. Legends told of an herb lord in Chenyu Vale who could cure any illness known to mankind. The doctor sought the herb lord, but found only a white snake, its breathing weak and its power all but spent.
Sign this contract and let our lives be joined. Then I will impart to you the secret art of healing. But be warned, this art will harm your own health.
With means beyond human ken, the doctor could now reverse the process of death. And yet, the time still came to say goodbye. Only now, the one departing was the doctor, his life force spent. His final act in life was to pass on the contract to his final patient, his favorite disciple. The disciple chose to dedicate their life to saving the lives of others. And generation upon generation followed in these footsteps. Since I inherited this contract, I've always respected the path taken by my predecessors and followed it myself unquestioningly. That is until I tried to use the art to save my own disciple's beloved. She begged me not to use up my own life force. She said that this art is a poisoned chalice, an evil and unnatural practice. She did not wish to sacrifice one life for the sake of another, when both were lives she treasured. Only then did it occur to me, did I not suffer when my master passed away, just as patients' families do at their loved one's deathbed? Are not the lives cut short by this contract just as worthy of saving as any patients? What is this contract to us? Medicine or poison? Alas, I no longer have enough time left to find the answer. I entrust to your care both Changsheng and this final question. May you find a remedy for this conundrum, which has ailed us so.
Time and again, no matter how much I try to warn them or balance their chi, I can never save them. And you? What's your answer?
If I abandoned the contract and left you without a host, what would happen?
I suppose I'd spend my final moments taking a nice nap on Mount Yaojun. Then I'd be reunited with my old friends and your predecessors.
Then it's decided. If there's a life in front of me that deserves to be saved, why shouldn't I do everything within my power to save it?
Once again, it's the same answer. So be it. Close your eyes. Who knows how many more people will take on this contract?
None. This contract will end with me.
My contract has strict requirements on the host's natural temperament. All my hosts have been most pure of heart.
But when one with an altruistic nature gains access to this art, They are more seduced than the average person by the miracle of overturning the laws of life and death. Though they know better than anyone else the fate that awaits them, when faced with the sorrows of humanity and the pain of losing their nearest and dearest, they cannot help but reach beyond human means. They are like moths that throw themselves into the flame, seeking a glimmer of hope in a dark world filled with pain and suffering.
So, Baizhu, does that mean...
I suppose that would make me a moth that yearns for the light, but doesn't want to be burned to a crisp. Cheng Sheng's art can transfer pain and suffering between people, but it cannot reduce the total amount of pain in the world. It's just like we witnessed. Either Jia Liang feared for Jiang Li's life, or Jiang Li grieved over Jia Liang's sacrifice. I have nothing but the utmost respect for my predecessors, who sacrificed their lives for their principles. But I do not wish to join their ranks, nor do I wish to pass on this contract to anyone else in the future.
Huh? But didn't you already transfer a ton of diseases onto yourself?
What makes a poison, poison? And what makes a disease, a disease? When it comes down to it, if disease is defined as deviation from normal functioning, then who knows? Perhaps the true elixir of immortality could in fact be a kind of poison. Many may view the notion of searching for immortality in poisons and illnesses as a flagrant violation of the natural order. But to me, it is no different from the way our ancestors tested the medicinal qualities of herbs by sampling each and every one. I don't want those who come after me to lose their lives to this contract. Nor do I wish for Cheng Sheng to perish from losing her host. This leaves only one solution, doesn't it? Precisely. I will be Cheng Sheng's final host, and the tradition of passing down the...
Even the gods of old struggle to achieve true immortality. First you want to save others, then you want to save yourself. Now you even want to save me. You're...
But isn't wanting... For a selfish moth like me, who's afraid of the flame yet yearns for the light, the only path forward is up towards the moon.
For once,
Dr. Baizhu, Traveler, what are you still chatting about?
we also have coconut. Okay, fine. Let's go grab some food. Paimon has a bunch of burning questions, but they can wait till after we've eaten. I do envy Paimon sometimes.
True. And yet, although we call them simple pleasures, are such things as these not precisely why we mortals cling desperately to the life we have?
Osmanthus wine tastes the same as I remember. But where are those who share the memory?
We cannot just rely on the ocean's self-cleaning ability.
Where do you want to go next? If you'd like to see Liyue's tourist spots, I have a few references.
Hey, isn't that Charlotte? Huh, we're always running into her. What's she doing this time?
No way.
Oh, looks like street interviews.
I see. So you believe that this warning letter was sent by the Phantom Weasel?
Absolutely. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Phantom Weasel never acts as you expect. He must have faked his own death 10 years ago using a body double. Now that he's back, I'm sure the guards who worked on his case back in the day are in for a headache, but however this turns out in the end, the one
Couldn't agree more. As a journalist, I'm gonna get a lot of my... Thank you, sir, for your time. Now, whom should I interview next? Huh? Hey! What a coincidence! Fancy meeting you here. Perfect timing. So, the Phantom Weasel's latest warning letter. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is the first time we're hearing of this one. Could you clue us in?
Huh? Oh, sorry. Yes, this case is from a decade ago. I guess you wouldn't know about it. Well, not to worry. You're in good hands because I'm a professional. The story goes like this. 10 or so years ago, a phantom thief became active in the court of Fontaine. Known only as the Weasel, nobody knew his true identity, and the authorities never managed to catch him.
Wow, cool! He sounds like one of those mysterious night burglars that you read about in novels.
Precisely. Well, except the part where they actually have a good reputation. Our Weasel targeted whatever people held dear, and no one was safe from his predations. He would just as soon steal a necklace from a rich merchant's safe as he would a toy doll given to a commoner child for their birthday. I know, the phantom thieves you read about in novels rob the rich to pay the poor, but this guy did not discriminate. Unsurprisingly, this didn't work wonders for his public reputation. Every man and his dog wanted to see him behind bars.
Yeesh. So, did they catch him?
Not exactly. There's a good chance that the Weasel would still be at large to this day if it hadn't been for an accident 10 years ago. A magician named Caesar fell to his death in a botched high-altitude escape performance. When the police went through his personal effects, they found a hoard of stolen loot and gadgets used for criminal activities. And that was how the Phantom Weasel's identity was revealed to all. Sure enough, thefts in Fontaine went down after Caesar's death. But today, 10 years on, the notorious thief has once again issued one of his warning letters and pasted it on the gate of the Opera Epiclese for all to see. I had to squeeze through the crowd this morning to get a photo as soon as I heard. Here, it's this one.
So, this is the warning letter, huh? Let's see what he wrote. 3 days from now, when evening falls, I shall take from you that which you hold most dear at the Opera House, just as you did to me 10 years ago.
This is, without a doubt, a clear declaration of criminal intent. After years of laying low, the Phantom Weasel is back with a vengeance. What once seemed like an open and shut case has been blown wide open again. But why has he reemerged now? And what does he want? I sense an epic scoop, and I'm going for it.
Uh-oh. If this thief will steal anything that other people value, does that mean even we might be targeted? Really? Oh, let him try. In fact, Hyman's gonna eat all our snacks right now. Let's see what he can...
Okay, the people have spoken. It's clear that the public are very concerned about the Phantom Weasel's reappearance. Let's see, I've got a photo of the letter, my interview notes. Yep, that should be enough to form the skeleton of my article. It does feel like something exclusive. Who should I interview next? I need someone with a more concrete connection to the weasel. Is that who I think it is?
Lyney!
Magic, magician, Caesar, the Phantom Weasel! That's it! Let's go interview Lyney! You see, the original Phantom Thief Caesar was—
Are you serious?
Oh, relax! My journalistic instinct tells me that an exclusive news story is beckoning.
Wow, Mr. Magician! How did you know which card I picked?
Oh, it's simple. Come closer and I'll let you in on my secret. Magicians have a special skill called telepathy.
Really? Then, what am I thinking now?
Well, first you need to relax, because I can see that you're clenching your fist in your mind, as if to say, no, I mustn't let him guess it.
Aww.
And now you're getting a little flustered. You're trying to find a way to empty your mind, to think you snuck out from home today, didn't you? You told your family a little lie so you could come out and play.
You can tell?
Of course. Oh, and that's the end of my performance. You should really be heading home. Remember—
All right, got it. Bye, Mr. Magician.
Why, hello. We meet again. Are you looking for me? What's the situation?
Well, why don't you guess, Mr. Telepathic?
Oh, please. You didn't believe that spiel, did you?
I'm sure that child would beg to differ. See?
That was nothing more than a little trickery. I made that, plus the fact that he was the only kid here without his parents, and he looked as guilty as sin. You guys, on the other hand, let me guess. Don't tell me you're here for the Phantom Weasel, are you?
Wow, got it in one! Is this more of your trickery at work?
Wait, really? No trickery this time. It was pure luck. His warning letter's been the talk of the town, so I figured that maybe you were asking around about that.
Bingo! I plan on writing a column reporting on the latest news about the Phantom Weasel. So, Lyney, what are your thoughts on this infamous thief's reappearance?
To be honest, it makes me angry.
Angry? Why?
You read his letter, right? The Phantom Weasel claims he's planning something in 3 nights' time at the Opera House. That's the night I'll be performing there.
What are the chances? Wait a minute, you don't think he's—
Well, if he is, then his warning is clearly a direct challenge to me personally. And if he's not, then it's still going to be a huge headache for me. The mere mention of the Weasel's name is enough to scare people off. So once the contents of that letter get out, barely anyone will be showing up to watch my show. But I've been preparing for this for a long time. I'm not about to let him ruin my big day. This leaves me with only one choice. I have to expose the Phantom Weasel's identity before the show begins.
Really? So what you're saying is, we might get to see a live duel between a famous magician and an infamous thief? Wow, this has—
To be honest, I'm not sure if I'll emerge the victor. The Phantom Weasel is a notorious crook, infamous for his inscrutable methods.
You're being far too modest, Lyney. I think your magic tricks are even more inscrutable.
Thanks for the compliment, though I have to say, I don't care much for the comparison. A lot of people liken magicians to thieves because we both have the ability to make things disappear without the person noticing. But there's an important difference that these people overlook. Allow me to demonstrate with a quick magic trick. Here, I have a flower, just an ordinary flower that was picked not long ago. Watch it carefully now. 3, 2, 1. That's the question. Therein lies the difference between us. Thieves make precious things disappear, but only magicians make them reappear. If I could now invite you all to check your clothes.
A surprise? Let me see! It's right there! But how?
What an outstanding trick! Sorry, Lyney, it seems that my previous praise was woefully inadequate. Clearly, magic is the superior art form to theft.
Don't worry, I didn't take offense. I just wanted to take the opportunity to, since Caesar's death, a lot of people associate magicians with criminal.
I can imagine. Coming back to your trick just now, might I presume, for example, magicians often use rainbow roses in their flower-related performances to represent passion and romantic encounters? But you used a Looney-Doo spell, which, if I'm not mistaken, allude to separations. I'm curious to know if there was a—
Impressive knowledge. It's no wonder you're such a successful journalist. But I'm afraid I don't know the first thing about floral sip. It sounds like something I should look into, though. I'll buy myself a copy of Fontaine's Floral Language Facts when I have some time. But it'll—
Well noted. In that case, this brings us to the end of our interview. I, for one, am looking forward to the final showdown between you and the thief. Please feel free to get in touch to update me on any further developments. Otherwise, I will of course see you at your show in 3 days' time. But let's hope the Phantom Weasel is caught by— If there's nothing else, I'll be off. You've given me lots to work with here, and I've got no time to lose if I want to write that exclusive piece. I'll see you all in—
So, Lyney...
I'm a
well, magicians are entitled to their secrets. You feel it too, right? So itchy!
Not so itchy then, huh? Well, since you're so concerned, how would you like to serve as my temporary magician's assistants and help me investigate?
Magician's assistants? Oh, that sounds fun! Assistants are technically magicians too. Also, it'll bring us one step closer to figuring out how that darn trick is done. Shall we go for it?
Excellent. Thank you for putting your trust in moi. The first thing we need to look into is who Caesar really was. If he truly was the Phantom Weasel, that means that the Weasel is dead, and whoever wrote this warning letter is just a copycat criminal. But if he wasn't the Weasel? Well, that'll make things more interesting. It would mean that the Weasel lives, and he's been laying low all this time in some corner of Fontaine. And if we're investigating Caesar, his fiancée Gemma is a good place to start. Word is that she visits the cemetery often, so I asked Lynette we should make a move. Let's go and rendezvous with Lynette.
You took your time.
Sorry, I bumped into the Traveler and Charlotte en route, and we ended—
It's been a while, Lynette. We're working as Lyney's temporary assistants.
Thank you. It's good to have you helping.
So what's the situation? Have you seen Gemma?
Nope. I've been here a while, and she still hasn't shown up.
How bizarre. Maybe— Well, we won't get anywhere by standing around waiting. Traveler, Paimon, let's go ask around. Excuse me, good sir. Do you by any chance know a Gemma?
Gemma? You mean Caesar's fiance?
I'm just trying to get a hold of her because I need her help with something. I heard she comes here a lot.
Yeah, she does. Poor thing. It's no secret why either. She's heartsick. Ever since Caesar passed away, she's been coming here once every week to clean his grave. Often she just sits there in front of his headstone, lost in thought. Sometimes she talks to herself. I asked her what she was doing once. She said she wanted to speak to him again. She knows he's gone and can't hear her from the grave, but she just likes to spend time there, telling her fiancé all about how her life is going.
And she's been doing this ever since Caesar passed away?
I'll bet. Caesar's reputation fell apart after his identity was revealed, so no one else visits his grave. Gemma's the only one who still thinks about him after all these years. I don't know if the mind lives on in the waters after death, but if it does, I'm sure Caesar must be grateful to have someone who remembers him fondly. If I'm honest, I think this is all so unfair to poor Gemma. Her fiancé was a low-life crook. Anyway, all of that said, she's running later than usual today. Normally, she'd be sitting in front of his grave by now. I wonder if she's okay. Well, that's everything I know, I'm afraid. You might have more luck asking some other people.
All right, well, thanks for sharing all of this with us. We'll keep asking around.
You're welcome. I just hope she'll be able to move on one day.
Did you hear the news? They're saying the Phantom Weasel's back.
You're kidding. Wait, isn't he dead?
I don't know anymore. All sorts of news flying around nowadays. But what if, just hypothetically, I mean, what if this Weasel's the real deal and Caesar was framed?
Called it. Seriously, 10 years ago, on the day it all went down, I said to myself, you know what? This guy's been set up. The Caesar I knew was a good guy. He gave balloons to children on the street, for Pete's sake. What, are we supposed to believe that he was a balloon thief or something?
Oh, please. Weren't you the one cursing his name to high heaven when the police and—
Wait, did I say that? I don't seem to recall.
Hello there. Sorry for disturbing you. We're actually quite interested in this topic as well, but we're struggling to get to the bottom of it. Do you think you could spare a moment to tell us a little?
You've come to the right people. Yep. I was there. He was a great magician. The best trick I ever saw him do was pop a transparent balloon, only for a whole bunch of doves to fly out from the inside. I was right up close and didn't blink or look away once. But for the life of me, I still don't have the faintest clue how he pulled it off. Really incredible stuff.
I saw him perform too. He always used to bring some gifts along for the kids who came to watch his show, and he'd hand them out after he was done. Sometimes he even got the kids to write their wishes down, and then he'd make the items on the wish list. But after he died, there were also rumors that he used the wish list to find out what was precious to people, with the intent. As I'm sure you know, the Phantom Weasel would steal just about anything.
Whatever the case, now that the Weasel is back, I bet Gemma must be pleased. If Caesar's name gets cleared, maybe it'll finally give her some solace after all this time. No, speak of the devil. That's her over there. If you've got any more questions about Caesar, she's definitely the one to ask.
So that's Gemma. Is it just Paimon, or does it look like something's wrong? Wait, it looks like she...
Who's asking?
Don't be afraid, It looks like you're injured. How bad is it?
Thanks for your concern. But
My name is Lyney, and this is my sister Lynette.
My name's Paimon, and this here's the Traveler.
The Weasel posted a warning letter this morning. If he's... You knew Caesar better than anyone else. So if you're willing, I promise you can trust us.
I never believed that he was the Weasel.
Huh. I suspected as much. Okay, so going back 10 years, do you remember anything strange in the weeks leading up to the accident? Did Caesar have a falling out with anyone, for instance?
No. Not that I know of.
Got it. All right.
If you don't have any more questions, please leave. I want to be alone with him.
Judging by the look on her face, there's definitely something fishy about her.
She's lying. She definitely knows something.
That's fair. We're just a bunch of strangers who showed up and started questioning her about things that happened a whole decade ago. It makes sense that she'd be wary around us. In any case, I doubt we'll get any further here, so let's call it a day. Meet me outside Hotel de Boer tomorrow, and then we'll start the next step of our plan. Over here.
Lynette's not joining us today?
I've had her follow Gemma and see if we can make any inroads with her. They should be at a cafe right now. Still, I don't think that Gemma's likely to open up to us. So, we need a contingency plan. Today, we'll be looking into a guy named Lorenzo, Caesar's former pupil and assistant. When Caesar passed away, all the stolen goods discovered in his home were confiscated and returned to their rightful owners. But Lorenzo was the only one privy to all his magic secrets, and he inherited his craft. Before long, Lorenzo was the next big magician in town, his fame surpassing even that of his master, and it made him very wealthy. He's since left the magic scene, though, and these days, he's a wealthy businessman with his fingers in a lot of different pies. I had to pull a lot of strings, but I managed to get him to agree to a couple of drinks with me. Be warned, though, I hear he's got a hair-triggered temper. We'd best be careful.
You neglected to mention that you were bringing...
My apologies. These two are my assistants. When they heard that I was meeting with the former magic maestro himself, they begged and pleaded with me to bring them along. And if it's no trouble, a couple of autographs would really make their day.
Oh, forget the pleasantries, just sit.
Get a load of this guy. Forget the pleasantries.
I only agreed to meet since we're both magicians. Do me.
Much obliged, sir. As it happened yesterday morning, a warning letter from the Phantom Weasel appeared on the entrance to the Opera House. He claims to be planning something for the same evening that I'm scheduled to do a magic show there. I have to get to the bottom of this to ensure that my show can go ahead as planned. Naturally, any investigation into the Weasel starts with a few questions about Caesar, who...
What is there to investigate? Caesar was the Weasel and he's been dead for 10 years. So what if some sick creep thought it'd be funny to write a warning letter?
Please, sir, no need to get so worked up. I do concede that a copycat is but one possibility.
Possibility? It's a fact, Lyney. Look, the Weasel is dead. Period. Everyone knows that, so do yourself a favor and quit this investigation. It'll lead you nowhere. Look, if this affects your magic show in any way, I will personally compensate you for any losses.
Oh, sir, my pride as a magician is what's at stake here, Lorenzo. Copycat or not, this person has thrown me the gauntlet.
Your pride?
I want to find out the Phantom Weasel's true identity.
What would that accomplish? And what do the events of 10 years ago have to do with you, anyway? Look, you of all people should know that a magician never reveals their secrets. And in any case, dead men don't talk. So if you really care about your magician's pride, then you'll forget about Caesar and move on.
Uh-oh. This is...
Lorenzo? Is that? Oh, it is you!
Another day, I'm busy.
Oh, come on! You can't be all business all the time. You know what they say? Live fast, die.
If I wanted your life advice, I'd ask for it. Now get out of my face.
Sorry, my good sir. I don't believe I've had the...
Oh, hey! This is your first time meeting him? Oh, he's always like this. Foul-mouthed and hard-nosed. Never heard a kind word out of this guy the whole time I've known him. And he wonders why he can't get a girlfriend, despite being, what, pushing 40, 30, something? Anyway, point is, a lot older than when he first got rejected by the girl he was into. And he's still into, from what I hear.
Shut up and get out of my face. Another word out of you and you can forget about doing business with me ever again.
Sorry, I may have had a little too much to drink.
I think it's high time I made a move as well. If you really want to investigate this, Lyney, be my guest. But if nothing good comes of it, don't say I didn't warn you.
Well, that fell to pieces in a rather spectacular...
Totally. And what was all that about compensate? He's gotta be hiding something. And not like Gemma. She was a little suspicious, but this guy's definitely...
I think so too. We need to look into Lorenzo more closely. That guy Edmondo seems to know a thing or two about him. He only just left. Let's see if we can catch up with him. You okay there?
Who are you? Oh, it's you guys. Don't worry about me. I must have had one too many. I just need to ride it out. I said way too much back there, didn't I? Yeah, I nearly talked myself into complete financial ruin. Note to self, no more drunken chats when Lorenzo's around.
So, he was serious about threatening to cut you off? Ugh, Paimon knew he was a bad egg.
Hey, don't go prying into Lorenzo's personal affairs. Bad things happen to people who ask too many questions. Or make an enemy out of him.
What kind of bad?
Don't even ask. I'm sorry. And take it from me, trouble with Lorenzo is one thing you don't need in your life. You saw him flare up back there. I don't know what you said to him, but clearly it touched a nerve. That's not a good sign. You're too young for this.
And there he goes.
Shh! I think we're being watched. Someone was Don't say anything and don't look back. Any altercation in the city will... You followed us a long way. Why don't you come out and introduce yourself?
So you're Lyney. And where's your sister? Save us the trouble and go fetch her.
Paimon doesn't like the tone of your voice, mister. Who sent you?
Save your questions, missy.
Looks like we can't... Now, I'm not the strongest
Don't worry,
Step right up.
Gather! Scatter!
Shine down!
Curses. They're tougher than we thought. Vision wielders are always trouble. Intimidation ain't gonna work like it did on the lady. Come on, let's scram!
Hey, wise guys! We ain't through with you yet! Oh, they got away! Did you catch what they said just before they left? Something about intimidate. Sounds like they just wanted to rough us up as a scare tactic. And you're right. She was injured when we saw her yesterday, and she acted like maybe she was too scared to tell us the truth because...
Well, if that's the case, she should be more willing to open up to us once she learns that. Let's head back to the cafe and see if we can get it.
All yours, should you have any use for them.
Gemma?
You again.
We just ran into the men who've been threatening you, and so you can...
What? Why? I didn't tell you anything.
Sounds like they're no strict...
That's putting it mildly. I know them all too well, and I hate them with every fiber of my being. It's been 10 long years, and still every time I try to look into Caesar's death, they show up and warn me not to do anything stupid. How do I know I can trust you?
I'm afraid I can't reveal all the details just yet, but I can because you see, this is a personal matter.
Okay.
I've heard that Caesar used to have a magic workshop where he kept a lot of his personal effects. Do you know where it is?
The Fleuve Cendre. But the place was sealed up by the police. I also know that the Fleuve Cendre is dangerous territory. Lots of hostile groups lurking around.
Understood. Lynette, you stay here and take care of Gemma. Don't let her come to harm.
Got it. But if I'm staying here, I'm ordering.
I mean, bon appetit. But stay sharp, too. They're likely to come for you while I'm away.
Okay. All right. Power saving mode off.
Whatever you do, if anything happens to you because you're investigating
With me here, nothing will happen.
If Gemma gave us the right location, then the workshop should be right nearby. Huh. Looks like these boxes are blocked. There we go.
This was Caesar's workshop. Nothing suspicious here, just normal magic props. Let's head in further. What was that? Oh, is this one of Caesar's gadgets? Guess we must have triggered some sort of device.
Stabilize! Be still.
Whoa. Look. The doll in the box is glowing. There's something written on the card on this doll. Let's take a closer look. Looks like we've reached the end of this route. Shall we try a different one? These magic boxes are moving. What do we do?
One of them looks different from the rest. Let's investigate.
That's weird. Have we reached the end already? There's nothing here. Maybe this was a wasted trip.
This place seems a little too ordinary for a magician's workshop. We've triggered quite a few devices on the way here. If so, then there must be more to this place than meets the eye. Maybe a hidden room somewhere. Aha!
A secret passage.
I'm a magician too, and apparently Great Minds really looks pretty big inside. Now disappear! Gather! Propagate!
There is no escape!
Stabilize! Scatter! Be still.
Rain down!
Why have you stopped, Lyney?
Huh. It just looks familiar somehow. Let me check this out for a second while you guys go. If anyone makes a major discovery, let's...
All right, see ya! Seems like we can't step on the same tile twice. Guess we've got to finish it in one run, huh? Wow! There's a hidden room here! Let's see! Oh, this bookcase is full of Caesar's own notes. He wrote a lot about the principles of magic. Whew. Much too advanced for Paimon. This book's thick as a brick! Let's take a peek inside.
At one of my shows a few days ago, a child asked me how I pulled candy out of my hat. As a joke, I told the kid that the hat has a built-in wish-granting machine. Next thing I know, today a whole bunch of kids were pestering me to pull all sorts of things out of the hat. So I told them another white lie. The machine needs time to power up, but in the meantime, you can write your wishes down. Well, they took me up on that offer, enthusiastically. As I write this, I've only just got back from running around all over town, buying the things they wanted. Boy, are my legs sore. I wound up saving very little this month, but that's not a major issue. I now have a bigger problem. How am I going to hide all these things inside my hat? Two children came to talk to me after today's show. I don't know why they were out on their own. They looked much... Anyway, they said that they wanted me to teach them how to do magic. It's not uncommon for children to ask this, of course, but I've never seen any of them as serious about it as these two. I told them that learning magic is very hard work, but that didn't faze them at all. It's like they already knew. They seemed so committed. I couldn't turn them down. It seems like something's bothering Lorenzo lately, but he won't open up to me about it. Surely he's not upset that I agreed to teach those two children. I have a good feeling about those kids. They're naturally talented, and it seems like they're not new to the world of magic. They have all sorts of fantastic ideas. All I'm really doing is helping them develop a more professional standard training plan. They wanted to call me Master, but I told them they absolutely mustn't. Any magician worth their salt could have taught them what I have. They're the geniuses here. With time, I have no doubt that they could become far greater magicians than I. My only concern is why they're so mature for their age. I fear they've had to grow up too fast. Gemma thinks so too. She doesn't like being around them. Says that their eyes are too piercing. It's nearly time for me to go on tour. I once overheard them talking about their father and their mission. Sounds like their parents have other plans. It's only been 10 days since I first met them, but I think that I've gotten They're very tough, but also very cautious. And they trust no one but each other. They hide things from me too. For example, that's the thing about children. I can sense that their lives have been hard. Possibly even dangerous too. They're not like other children. It's a shame that I can't do. After thinking things over, I decided to tell them a bit about. P.S. I hope they won't find my nagging annoying. Children are so opinionated nowadays. Will it do them? P.P.S. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Children aren't interested in grand philosophies. It probably... Oh, Caesar, Caesar.
Two magic geniuses with a father and a mission, huh? Sounds a lot like he was writing about Lyney and Lyney. So did they meet Caesar when they were kids? Lyney?
Shh, hold that thought.
Fishy?
All in good time. First, the magician slots themselves into a magic box in full view of the audience. The box is then suspended high in the air, and a short while at this point, a dummy will fall out of the box. Meanwhile, the real magician, who has by now blended into the crowd, oh no!
Very vivid
The audience's gaze then turns to the magician, and by the time they realize what's happened, the dummy has vanished. Of course, that's just how I think the process should work. The inventor of this trick never performed it successfully. He fell right to the ground from the highest point of the opera house. And no one else has ever attempted this trick since.
So Caesar's famous high-altitude escape, as Paimon was about to say how cool it would have been to... Wait a second. So if a dummy's...
Glad you asked. This box right here is the one that Caesar constructed himself to use in the performance. And it's not as simple as it looks. Inside, there's a device that once the magician's inside and the box is lifted up and from where they're standing, they have a clear view of the front, sides, and bottom, but the back and the top are now no longer visible. At this point, the magician presses a button and he then escapes through this trapdoor onto the
That's way simpler than Paimon imagined.
Well, there's a little more to it than that, of course. The hardest part of this trick is controlling the audience's mood and react. There's the falling dummy, the miraculous reappearance, the pompous performing. Maybe the magician would even have themselves tied up before. Many days and nights of careful research and painstaking practice would have gone into this, all culminating in a performance just a few minutes long, but one that still manages. Caesar was a highly accomplished.
So, how did it go?
I looked into the case files. The magic box Caesar was using at the time of his death had the secret button I mentioned positioned on the right-hand side.
Okay.
But here's the strange thing. Most of the devices in this workshop have the mechanism on the left-hand side, including this box right here. which leads me to believe that Caesar was in fact left-handed. Because a magician can't afford to have their most basic habits stand out too much. People naturally focus there, but a magician needs to be able to redirect an audience's attention at will. The essence of magic is getting people to believe a lie, and so Caesar trained himself to use his right hand to align with his audience's expectations. But in his most stressful and nerve-wracking moment, exactly, I think that's likely what happened. Caesar would have been under a lot of time pressure during the escape. He'd have had mere seconds to open the hidden compartment, retrieve the dummy, then open the secret door and make a swift escape. But I'm sure he was confident. He would have rehearsed countless times to the So he opened the compartment, took out the dummy, checked everything was in order, and then went to leave. With his left hand, he reached for the button, and suddenly, his heart skipped a beat. Much like when you reach for your keys but find your pocket empty, instinctively, his left hand would keep feeling around for the missing button. Maybe with the stakes being as high as they were, just a 2-second delay cost him everything.
When in reality, someone switched the button. How would they be able to?
It would have to have been someone who knew that he was left-handed, and who could move his Isn't that right?
You just couldn't let sleeping dogs lie. There's not a lot of people who'd go to all this trouble for some magician who died 10 years ago. But I gave you your chance.
You mean Gemma?
Yes, although however stubborn she might be, she was never much of a liability. But you, which is why you can't leave this...
And voila!
Stabilize! Gather!
There is no propagate!
Here comes the finale! Had enough yet, Lorenzo? I think it's high time you started talking.
If I had a mora for every time you said that man's name. He was just an amateur who did cheap tricks for gullible children. I was the one who made magic into the fine...
So it was jealous.
Jealousy. Hatred, more like. He poured everything into his street performances and his stupid tours like it was just a hobby to him, never bothering to think about Mora. What sort of fool devotes their life to the art of deception and never has a Mora to show for it? But the people loved him, didn't they? Oh, how they looked up to him. No one gave me a second look. All I ever heard was amazing. Yeah, so amazing that he was completely broke. Every other apprentice was living it up at their master's expense, but no, not me. I put in all the work, mastered all the skills, and it brought me nothing more than the life I already had. He forbade me from using magic to trick people out of their Mora. And with his reputation in Fontaine, it was too risky for me to go it alone. As long as he was alive, if I dabbled in my own brand of money-making magic, he would expose me. I had to kill him.
And this was your...
It was reason enough. What other motive?
Well, I was under the impression that there might have been other factors at play. For instance, maybe you were in love with Gemma, but she was engaged to Caesar.
In love with Gemma? Don't...
Guess I was wrong about that then.
I am. Caesar was so strict with me. He insisted that his way was the right way. That the soul... I never bought into any of that. I was more interested in the practical value of magic. Sure enough, it helped me fill my pockets with all kinds of valuable treasures.
Oh, yeah! Father told us that the weasel would steal whatever people valued, no matter how much it was worth.
That's just how it looked from the outside. What would any thief want with second-rate loot? I stole cheap things as a way of practicing my craft. It was other people's overactive imaginations that conjured up the preposterous image they then dubbed the Phantom Weasel.
So, that's the story, huh?
What choice do I have? You're a pack of wolves, and you've got me between your jaws. So be it. I've enjoyed power and wealth for the last 10 years, the likes of which Caesar could never give me. I wouldn't choose for things to end this way, but I regret nothing.
Very well. In Traveler, Paimon, keep an eye on Lorenzo.
At least I can finally stop looking over my shoulder now.
Lyney has told me the whole story. Lorenzo, do you confess to the murder of
Look who's... What kind of disciple murders their own master? I hope it was worth it.
Looks like it's all over. What should we do next, Lyney? Should we...
Let's rendezvous with Lynette and Gemma first. With...
Good point! We should go to...
Ah, you're back. You were so quick. I've only just...
You're third? Lynette, come on, we've talked about this. Everything in moderation.
It's fine. I'll shift to exercise mode and jog off the...
That's besides the point.
Did everything go okay?
Of course! Lorenzo was no match for us.
Gosh, that's amazing. I had my suspicions about Lorenzo, but I...
It's okay, we understand. He did threaten you. Paimon would find it hard to trust strangers in your position, too. But you don't need to be scared anymore.
Sorry. Sorry. My emotions are all over the place right now. I always wanted to report Lorenzo. He took all of Caesar's property, which I found suspicious. But I had people watching me all the time. I was so afraid. I was scared he'd do something terrible to me. And then no one would be left to visit Caesar's grave. Thank you all.
Thank you all for clearing Caesar's name. I never would have guessed that Lorenzo was the real Phantom Weasel. He never showed any signs that there were problems between him and Caesar in public. From the outside, it looked like they got along great. To think that at least his soul can finally rest.
If only I'd realized.
Don't blame yourself, Gemma.
Yeah, you still have the rest of your life to live. Caesar wouldn't want to see you spend...
Cheer up, Gemma. My brother's doing a magic show at the Opera House tomorrow evening. This show will be a special one.
In Caesar's honor.
Great. We'll see you tomorrow evening. Traveler, Paimon, don't be late.
Don't worry, we'll be there. No way are we gonna miss out on... Wait, Paimon feels like we're forgetting something. Oh yeah, Caesar's diary! We never found out if the two kids Caesar taught magic to were Lyney and Lynette or not. Lyney changed the topic back in the workshop, so we didn't get a chance to bring it up. Oh well, guess we'll just have to ask Lyney tomorrow evening.
I've spoken. I'm so ashamed of myself.
I can't believe Lorenzo was intimidating Gemma all this time. He comes around here sometimes. Not to clean Caesar's grave, though. She must have known.
It may take some time, but Caesar looks like Gemma chose a good man.
Crumble! Quake!
Illusion shattered!
Be still.
Shine down!
Solidify! Be still.
Certainly worth the extra mile.
Careless. Stabilize.
There is no escape!
Can't run from death.
Inactivity serves no purpose whatsoever.
Every journey has its final day. Don't rush. Osmanthus wine tastes the same as I remember.
Cascade! Be still.
Not this time. My brother's so I'll be watching with you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody's ready because the show is about to begin. The great magician Lyney has prepared a spectacular show for us all tonight, concluding with an all-new grand finale that no audience has ever seen before.
Thank you all so much for coming. Now, prepare to join me on a journey through the mystical and miraculous.
Exciting stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it's just... It reminds me of him.
No wonder. Caesar was a famous magician too, so how did you two...
Well, I was out on the street once, and I saw him performing for little children. Children love magic, because they're willing to believe in things that can't be rationally explained. Caesar had this amazing way of bringing them into a dreamlike world. And somehow, I felt drawn to him too. So I went up and asked him to do a trick for me.
Aw, that sounds so romantic.
It was with a flower. He took it in his hand, snapped his fingers, and I was so happy that day. No one had ever given me a flower before that.
Oh, that's so cute.
Is that right? Then I suppose, after all, you never know when the people dearest to you might be gone.
That's right. Paimon doesn't really know how to comfort you, but at the very least, no one's gonna be intimidating you from now on. You can breathe easy at last, right?
Right. Yes, you can breathe easy now, Phantom Weasel.
See? Even when the Phantom Weasel, Lorenzo escaped, where is he?
What do you...
As Lyney once said, a performer's job is to commit fully to their role and put on a flawless performance for their... But once the bag of tricks is empty and the curtain falls, it's time to end the show. The spotlight is no place for someone with no more cards up their sleeve. It's been 10 years, Gemma. Aren't you tired of the grieving widow act?
What are you talking about? Traveler, Paimon doesn't like where this is going.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all enjoying the performance so far. There will now be a brief intermission, after which Lyney will perform the final performance will take place outside of the Opera House. So please...
The Phantom Weasel never did like public... Don't worry, this place will be quiet.
Dear me, this is awkward, isn't it? And unfortunately, I'm all out of gadgets, so I'm afraid I can't do any tricks to liven up the mood. This is a big mistake for a magician to make, but thankfully...
Lyney, let's not accuse Gemma of being the...
All in good time. Magicians are good at guessing what people are thinking. I know the questions you want to ask. And as it happens, the story I'm about to tell might answer a few of them.
Really?
Let's go back to the very beginning. A decade ago, when the Phantom Weasel was terrorizing the court of Fontaine. She never missed a target, never left a trace, and no treasure was safe from her. But as her infamy grew, so did the readiness of the police, and her opportunities to act became ever fewer. Every day, she ran the risk of being exposed for who she was. Of course, she could not simply take this lying down, and before long, she found her ticket to freedom. She would create a scapegoat, a false weasel to close the chapter on her behalf. After weighing her options, she set her sights on a renowned magician, Caesar. After all, magic and theft shared enough similarities for people to buy the story when the truth came out.
So then what?
Being the master deceiver she was, the weasel easily earned Caesar's trust. Now all that remained was to frame him for her countless crimes. But as she was considering how to make her move, she noticed Caesar's aggrieved pupil, and a new thought entered her mind. Maybe I don't need to get my hands dirty after all. At her encouragement, Lorenzo tampered with Caesar's magic box, causing him to fall to his death. Afterwards, Lorenzo seized his master's property, and the weasel set about tarnishing Caesar's reputation. Two co-conspirators committed the perfect crime.
I've got to hand it to you. You're both exceptional storytellers. It's enough to make even me wonder whether there was really enough. But I just have one question.
Don't worry, Lorenzo's, but I never believed that he was the weasel, and in fact, my investigation only made me more certain of that. He was too forthcoming with his confession, as if there was something else he was trying to hide.
How disappointing. So you'd sooner trust Lorenzo than me, even without a shred of evidence?
A magician is an expert at playing the audience to get the result they want. With a little help from Lorenzo, you put on a very convincing performance. The lovesick fiancé, whose devotion to her betrothed is Caesar was maligned and hated by all for 10 years, but you? Everyone sympathized with your plight. Who would suspect for 1 second that the lovely young lady always seen weeping in front of Caesar's grave was actually the mastermind behind his demise? No, not that poor lady. Perish the thought.
Wait, so you mean the whole intimidation thing was just a hoax? Gemma and Lorenzo were both in on it? But why would Lorenzo agree to that? And why didn't he sell her out even at the end instead of admitting to being the weasel?
Yes, why indeed? Maybe Gemma herself could enlighten us on that question.
Well, Lyney, if you're so confident in having killed Caesar with his own hands, Lorenzo was plagued by overwhelming guilt. Revealing the Phantom Weasel's true identity would serve no purpose. But if the Weasel remained free, then she could take care of Lorenzo's loved ones.
An excellent answer.
Is that right? Well, don't let me bore you.
As a matter of fact, there's one thing Why would the real Weasel have targeted things that only have value to other people?
Of course. After all, if I had to guess, I would say that the real Weasel must have had a terrible childhood. Left to fend for herself after her parents died young. Betrayed, scorned, beaten. She'd scrounge waste paper from garbage bins to draw on, using twigs and dirt for lack of ink and pen. This was her only source of happiness in life. But it was all she needed, and she was content. Until the world, once again, she was betrayed. And this time, everything was taken from her. She felt like life was a miry pit that dragged her further down the more she struggled to escape. At that tender age, she should have been happy. Instead, she stood in the shadows and watched with envy as all good things in the world passed her by. This was a fate too cruel for anyone to bear. Her pain became a breeding ground for dark thoughts. Thoughts which festered and grew into a twisted solution to her troubles. I detest the happiness of others. In all its form, I will rob them of everything they hold to be good and—
That's some pretty heavy
Now it does this story. Yes, it is quite to my tastes. Thank you for help.
Huh. That's right, because without that, none of this—
She didn't write the letter.
After 10 long years, I'd hoped that the Phantom Weasel would be consigned to the history books by now. Lyney. Or should I call you the Phantom Copy?
Very sharp, Phantom Weasel. Well, no need for me to be coy about it. Our goal was to clear Caesar's name. The most straightforward way to change the public's impression of Caesar was to force the Weasel to show themselves. Of course we did. We made it quite clear in the letter, I believe. I shall take—
10 years ago? You mean Caesar's death? You met him? Wait. Oh, I get it. You were those two obnoxious kids. It's been so long, and you're all grown up now. I didn't recognize you. He taught you magic back then, didn't he? For what, 10 days?
We remember all our debts, however great or small. 10 years ago, Caesar's reputation was torn to shreds, and his legacy was thrown out. 10 years on, and no one cares what the truth is anymore. But we did not forget, and so we came to find you.
And? What exactly did you—
Free? Caesar once told me that even though the world is filled, I think that applies to you too. Truth can take many forms. Prized possessions with nostalgic value, fervent hopes and dreams, and irreplaceable people. Life took many things from you, and those wounds never healed. When they ached unbearably in the dead of night, stealing became your way of numbing the pain.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that for the last 10 years, you've been living a rather uneventful life. Perhaps that's because you found something other than a life of crime to fill the hole? Back to Lorenzo for a second. He murdered his own master, played along with your act, and took pains to make sure any suspicion would be directed towards him. But what did he have to gain from all that? He knew who you were and the things you'd done, and despite that, he was willing to give everything up for your sake. He's the reason that you haven't felt the compulsion to steal in all these years. You're more than just accomplices in murder. You're the only real friends each other has. So I think you know, deep down, that he is the only truth you have in your life. But that truth is gone now. And I guarantee...
Congratulations on your freedom, Gemma.
Your freedom will cost you dearly. From now on, you'll be all alone in a world full of lies and falsehoods. I do hope you'll be able to bear...
Gather round, one and all. The time has... I'm sure you're all wondering what he has planned.
A high-altitude escape?
I'm sure you all remember the magician Caesar, but we have now learned that Caesar was...
Guess that's my cue to leave. Whew. Traveler, Paimon, I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. There may be a lot of people watching tonight, but...
Lyney, wait. You two hid a lot from Caesar. He went to his grave without ever knowing. You don't have to tell lies to end up isolated and alone. One day, you'll end up exactly where I am today.
You're wrong. I'm nothing like you.
So,
Like Lyney said, when you're ready...
But what about Gemma?
She'll figure out what's best for her soon enough. Oh, and if you'd like to see Lyney after the show, you know where he'll be.
All right. Well, let's...
Magicians are not thieves, only tear things apart. But good...
Sometimes I think I'm like a gambling addict. All I care about is winning. And it doesn't matter what's at stake. By the time I come to my senses, I'm left with nothing. Oh, if I had my time again.
Magic should be mysterious, surprising, and defy logic. Magic is hard work. Every single movement has to be practiced thousands of times.
It's alright. We're used to that.
We're sorry. You've taught us so much, but we can't tell you the whole truth.
It's okay. Do you still remember what I told you? This world is full of lies and falsehoods. I only hope that one day, you can find your own truth.
What about you? Have you found your truth?
Magic is my truth. I want to perform a magic trick so great that people will always think of me when they talk about it. For a magician, what greater honor could there be?
Look! Behold! Lyney is sealed inside the box. Will he manage to escape? 10 years ago, Caesar attempted this very trick, and it was at this precise moment that...
Mysterious. Surprising. And logic-defying. Isn't that right? This honor belongs to you, Caesar. I'm just sorry it's a little late.
Did you see that? 1 minute he was falling, and the next, he turned into flowers.
How could he possibly have done that?
How mysterious. I didn't blink once. He just vanished, right in front of my eyes.
What a heart-stopping magic show! Caesar's name has finally been cleared, and Fontaine's new star magician Lyney has fulfilled a wish on his behalf. Oh, I couldn't ask for a better grand finale. It will make a great headline for the Steambird tomorrow.
Whew. Looks like everyone really loved Lyney's grand finale. Paimon doesn't see Lyney anywhere. Oh, Lynette said he'd be waiting for us at the usual hunt. But, oh, you mean the one where... Yeah, that's probably it. This whole magic show kinda seemed like Lyney's way of saying goodbye to Caesar. Alright, let's go... Paimon was scared to death when the chain broke. Paimon was...
Magic is a performance art. A magician has to get creative to keep the audience on tenterhooks. That's our job. So I tweaked Caesar's original setup a little to keep it fresh. I was honestly a little nervous during the live performance. The thought of falling, suddenly feeling weightless, seeing the sky and the ground spinning and spinning. Sometimes, I can't help but wonder what Caesar thought in those final moments. Did he regret taking Gemma and Lorenzo on? Or did he believe that it was his own slip-up right until the end?
You know, Paimon's been wanting to ask you about something ever since we were in Caesar's workshop. You learned magic from Caesar once, didn't you? When was that?
After I joined the House of the Hearth. To be honest, Lynette and I had an agenda when we approached him. I told you about my past before, remember? As a young boy, I survived by secretly learning magic from street performers. I'd watch their tricks and try to figure out how they were done. But I quickly realized that observation alone could only get me so far. What I saw was the polished final performance, but the rigorous training they put in behind this. I needed to learn how to improve my sleight of hand, hone my misdirections. We were gifted enough that we'd made some progress by ourselves. But without proper guidance from a professional magician, we quickly plateaued.
So that's why you sought Caesar out?
Yes. We figured there was no harm in asking. But in all, we only spent 10 short days together, but he was very good to us. By contrast, for instance, when he asked why I wanted to learn magic, but in truth, there was already a lot more to the story by then. After being taken in by an aristocrat for our magic talent, then betrayed soon after, this was no longer about me doing what I loved. What amazed me was how the lie escaped my lips even as I was hesitating over what trust is a beautiful thing.
Lyney.
Still worried about the way I feel? But don't worry, I'm used to it now. From the mansions of the elite to the House of the Hearth, lies and selfishness have followed me and Lynette everywhere we go. After Caesar went on tour, we became busy with our missions. The next we heard of him was that he'd fallen to his death, and was now declared to be the Phantom Weasel. That night, I remembered his smile. To keep secrets is to put up walls. The longer you keep them up, the less you let people in. Then, one day, you look around and realize your life is like an empty auditorium after a show, full of seats once occupied by all the people who left. But I guess that's the price we have to pay. You only realize how much someone really meant to you when you lose them completely. That's why I was so confident this would hurt Gemma. Because I felt it for myself.
Yeah, cheer up, Lyney. We've had to say our fair share of goodbyes during our journey, too. But whatever happens, Paimon always believes in what tomorrow brings. Delicious food, fun toys, and the Traveler by my side. Paimon just needs to focus on things like this, and all the unhappy stuff goes right out the window. You know, Traveler, doesn't that kind of make you Paimon?
Exactly. It's the same for me and Lynette. We are the truest thing each other has in the world, and nothing can replace that. Life has taken plenty from us, like it did from Gemma. But at least it left us with each other. That's what gave us the strength to get through the darkest days. That's why the darkness never consumed me, and why it never will. Maybe we live in the shadows too, but we remember every precious ray of light that shines through. All right, time to lighten this conversation up a little. What?
It was amazing! Paimon just wishes we hadn't been so distracted with the Gemma situation. We spent most of our time in the Opera House just talking and pretty much missed the entire first half.
Whoa, that's a bit of a tall order, I'm afraid. The show's just finished, so my sleeves are to suck.
Aw, come on!
Oh, all right then. Watch closely. I have a flower in my hand.
You liar!
Huh? My goodness, you're right.
3, 2, 1.
Now, have another look around. Maybe the—
Really? Let's see. Wow, there it is! Oh, but more importantly, Paimon has it!
Well, if you want to learn magic— Since you asked so nicely, I'll share one little tip with you. Namely, the student of magic cannot solely rely on others being prepared to reveal their secrets. You have to—
Is that it?
Ah, look at the time. We shouldn't linger here too long. Thanks again for coming to see my— I look forward to seeing you again.
All right, shall we head back now too? Oh, Paimon can't wait to read the Steambird. Let's head to the Steambird's offices.
I'll keep this close.
I'm very sorry, Charlotte, but my
Oh, please, Lyney, I'll only take a moment if you— Huh? What's happening here? I spent all night writing my piece about the Phantom Weasel, but just as dawn broke, I suddenly received news that Caesar's fiancée, Gemma, had contacted the guards and could—
That was quick.
Hmm?
Too late, bro.
That was quick, you say? Aha! My instincts did not lead me astray. You do have—
Maybe watching my high-altitude escape trick reminded her of a better time with Caesar, and she could no longer ignore the voice of her—
Huh. Okay, then. Wait, no, there— Oh, I remember now! You and Gemma were nowhere to be found. Quickfire question! Where did you—
Oh, we went to the cemetery and Lyney did a— Actually, glad you mentioned it, because that reminds Paimon. Guess what?
What? I don't recall ever having received a rainbow rose from you myself. Is this supposed to mean that they're more important to—
No,
What the— What now? Oh, did Paimon say something wrong again? Pretty awkward. What do we do, Traveler?
Seems like this interview wasn't meant to be. Forgive my persistence, but when there's explosive news waiting to be— Apparently, one of the things she said to the guards was that her final wish is to see Lorenzo one last time. There's clearly a web of complicated relationships there. All right, I guess I'll leave you to continue the rest of—
Lynette?
Don't worry, I wasn't—
Oh, really?
Phew. You and me both, Paimon. You and me.
Please, take good care of that rainbow. I'd be really upset if you lost it.
I've never seen anything like.
Be still.
I just want our guests on track.